Yep.
Whoa, excellent. Okay. All right, so I was looking at what I used to do in this class, and a lot of it is really geared to, we used to have a second research class where you had to use your annotated bibliographies to create a literature review and create chapters 1, 2, and 3 of a thesis. We don't have that class anymore. So I'm not sure really. I'll point some stuff out to you, but I think that if you're going to be if you're going to write a thesis, and I know there are a couple in this group who are thinking about a thesis route rather than the capstone class. If you're going to write a thesis, then the decision on what I mention and tell you about from the book today would be something that you would do with your chair of your committee, who would be your advisor for the thesis, okay? So I'll come back to that idea in a minute, because the first thing I want to do is go over the annotated bibliography that's due on the 19th, because I'm pretty clear tomorrow, and for the first time in 10 years I'm actually on top of my grading, which is shocking. And so I'm thinking that I will grade your purpose statements tomorrow and get them back to you so you can start working on tweaking that if you need to, and just keep going with the Anna bit, all right? So just to point out, on that assignment tab, if you click on that assignment tab, I know it's not very clear because we've got the lights on, but on the assignment tab, you come down, there's a folder, annotated bibliographies. There is some information here, like this is the guideline, really, is here. There isn't I don't think there's a separate guideline doc, I could be lying. There might be another guideline document, but, so we're down to a 275-word summary, not including your reference. Okay? If you click on that folder, then you've got annotated bibliography number 1, and there's 2 documents there. One of them is a rubric, and one of them is a slightly altered version of the summary template. Okay? So use those to help you. So what I'm expecting when you hand your AnnoVib in is one document that is probably 4 pages long, possibly 5, depending on how long your purpose is. You might not be able to get it in above the first template. So you'll have put your name in the header, so that if I lose track of who I'm grading, it's there, okay? Then you're going to have your purpose statement at the top of the first page. May or may not have to tweak it depending upon the feedback you get that I do tomorrow, okay? And then you're going to have template 1, 2, 3, 4 for your article summaries. Right? All in one document, because that makes it easier for me to manage it. Okay? So normally an annotated bibliography would not be in a template like this, but I'm trying to transition from the article summaries that we did, that we've just finished, to a typical version of an annotated bibliography, which is what you'll do in the second submission. So I want you to use the templates again, this time with your own articles. And then on the next one, we'll change it into a paragraph format. Okay? So hopefully that template will help you make the switch over. And as I say, without the reference, that's the first couple of rows, the rest of it should be under 275 or under, right? And you'll see on the rubric there are deductions for however many you go, if you go over.
And it's kind of the same, or similar to article summaries we've been doing, right? Or we're just kind of keeping.
Yeah, I'll show you the template. Let's turn that light off so that you can actually see it. It's the same. I've just taken a couple of things out. Like you wouldn't normally highlight the method, the plan. So here's the rubric. So the purpose statement is 5 points. The article summaries are, the citation bit is 2 points, and then the rest of the summary is 6 points. And then there's spelling and grammar and word limit. Okay. And then the template is basically the same.
Oh, but it's not like research method or anything like that, right?
No. So I took out the line that had the design in it because you wouldn't typically highlight that necessarily. I mean, you probably would tell the readers if it's a pre-post design or a repeated measures within your blurb, but you wouldn't kind of jump it out and have a sentence on its own that the design of this study was. I just wanted you to be paying attention to that to begin with because you should be recognizing design, right? So you've got your, I need to change that and put reference here. Purpose statement, participants, procedures, data analysis, results, conclusion, and then to put the URL in so that I can click on it because I may not have read the article.
Okay.
I probably won't have done for me. I don't know if anyone has picked an early childhood type topic, so it's unlikely that I've read any of these articles, so I need to be able to look at the article and see if you've picked out appropriate information.
Gotcha, makes sense.
Okay? So I need a working URL.
A hyperlink, right?
Yeah, hyperlink, yeah. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you'll just put 4 of those into the document. And as I said, if you've only got a small, short purpose statement, then it might go up here.
And then one after the
Yeah,
other.
yeah, just put a template on each page.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And I've got a couple of examples up there. They're quite different because the reason for them was different. Like my example was from a class where the point of the assignment was to make us go and use the library. Dr. Drab's example is more along the lines of creating chunks of information that she could then feed into a literature review for her dissertation. So the format of them is slightly different, like the amount of information in them is slightly different. But I think that they'll give you an idea of what you're looking for. Yeah. and if they don't help, please let me know,
Okay.
because there's no point in me having information up there that confuses you. What else about the anobib? I think that's it. I think that's it. You can still, at this point, I don't mind if you want to copy and paste the purpose statement and the conclusion statement. The rest of it I expect to be in your own words.
That's from the abstract? Or what do you mean?
No, don't take them from the abstract, because that means you didn't find them in the
Okay.
document,
Okay.
right? That's why I want the hyperlink,
I got
so
you.
that I can catch things like that, because I want you, it's really important that you're able to identify these pieces of information for yourself. You can use the abstract as a guide, right? So if you're reading an article and you're like, crikey, I don't know what this purpose statement is here, and there's no clear sentence that says the aim of this study or the purpose of this study, I don't know what I'm looking for. Then you can look at the abstract and get an idea of what the purpose is, and then try and find it in the,
Got you.
right? But you really should be able to pick these out for yourself.
I got you.
Any questions on that?
Crystal clear.
Okay, all right, good. For once, I make sense. Yay. We have 2 more classes after this one, next week and the week after.
Okay.
And then after that, we've got 3 weeks where you can come and meet with me, make an appointment. It would be helpful to know if you want me here from 4:30 till 6 or 6:30, because I'd rather not sit here twiddling my thumbs if you guys aren't going to come in during that time. If that's not convenient and you'd rather see me at another time of the day, right, whatever. I'm happy to be here during class time because that's on my schedule, but you know, if we're not going to use it, then it's a bit pointless. And if you're an off-campus student, then those one-to-one meetings, we can do those via Skype. Don't think that because you're not on campus, that means that you don't have access to those meetings, okay? And you don't only have to have one a week. If you feel one week like you want to see me twice, whatever you need, right? That's open time for you to be able to talk to me about that second nanobib in particular and your presentation at the end of the semester.
How do we go about scheduling like a Skype meeting with you? Because I know we have a couple of away games coming up. So.
If you just email me through Blackboard and send me your Skype username, give me some options for times, and then we'll agree a time and I'll Skype you.
Can we go like, it has to be Skype, can we like FaceTime?
I don't use my personal phone or my personal iPad for work.
Okay.
That's
Bingo.
off limits.
I got
So it's got to be Skype.
I don't have a Skype, that's why I was just
Skype's free,
Okay.
so if you've got a laptop, you can't. I don't know that you can do it on your phone.
Okay.
So you would need a laptop or an iPad thing. But yeah, to create a Skype username is free, and then I can just call you. And
Gotcha.
if you don't have access to video, like if your camera's broken on your laptop or whatever, we can do an audio call. But it's nice when the video is working and I can actually see you. Sometimes if the I don't know the technical term, the broadbandy thing, that like the speed of the internet is slow, then the video takes too much and it freezes, and then we have to go to audio. But it's been pretty successful that way.
Okay.
Gotcha.
And coach will have a laptop. One of the coaches will have a laptop
Wow.
if you don't have.
Yeah, we
one.
have that.
We have
That's
one.
not a problem, so.
So, yeah, we can always do that. And as I said, you can use those for ANOBIBs and for the presentation idea. So, and next week, chances are I will forget, but I don't, because I'm hopeless. My brain is so full of stuff right now, I literally can't think straight. So I don't believe I have the presentation folder open right now, because I don't like people to look too far ahead, and because it can feel a bit overwhelming.
Yeah.
But I want to open it next week so
Okay.
that you've got plenty of time to look at what the expectations are for the presentation at the end of the semester. Anything else on stuff that is coming? I think that's probably it. If you think of anything, yell at me.
Okay.
So what I wanted to just briefly introduce to you was this idea of the reason for the annotated bibliography, or several reasons for the annotated bibliography, because sometimes I think students don't always put the pieces together, and if you're being asked to do some significant work that seems abstract, that can be a little irritating, and then it's difficult to really put your all into it. So the first reason for the ANOBIB is that in your other classes you're going to have to write research papers of one description or another. And the expectation for those papers will be that you have peer-reviewed research to support anything you want to say in the paper, right? So you have to be able to A, find it, and B, summarize it, right? So that's one of the main goals of this class, is to try to help you be better researchers for peer-reviewed literature, right? To make it easier for you to find it, read it, and synthesize it, okay? The other reason is to, as I said, it used to be to get you ready for the second research class, which we don't have. But for those students who are thinking, I want to write a thesis, then the annotated bibliography is going to be the foundation, hopefully, unless you completely change tack on your question. The annotated bibliography will provide a foundation for chapter 2 of your thesis. Okay, so a thesis has 5 chapters. Chapter 1 is the introduction. Chapter 2 is the lit review. Chapter 3 is methods. Chapter 4 is results. And chapter 5 is discussion. Right. So the annotated bibliography will provide the foundation for this, and it will give you some of the summaries for the intro. Okay. The introduction is where your purpose statement would be found. And the introduction is like a very brief overview of what's coming to try to grasp the reader and get them interested in reading the rest of it. The lit review is all your argument about why this question is unique and important, right? And the lit review starts out nice and broad, and it just gradually funnels the reader in so that by the end of the lit review they go, oh yeah, okay, this is a cool question, okay? And then the methods we'll look very briefly, and in the methods you would put, at the end of the methods would be where you put your data analysis. So what you would do to the data, right? And then the results is talking about what comes out of the analysis. And then the discussion is the fun chapter, because now you get to tease it all out and talk about it and try to work out what it was you did or didn't find. Okay, so part 3 of your textbook is titled Selecting the Most Appropriate Method, but the first chapter is actually telling you about creating this literature review. And when you're writing a literature review for an article or for a thesis or a dissertation, that's called a traditional lit review. What made me go back and add some more points on to you guys is that they call the type that we read, an article that is a lit review, a systematic lit review, where they're looking at all the literature about that topic, right? So this is a traditional lit review. An article that's a lit review is called a systematic lit review. And I didn't twig when I looked at your papers the first time, so I went back and added that mark back for you. Because I shouldn't have taken that off, because I suspect that's where you saw it. So that first chapter talks about the difference between the two and the reason behind a traditional literature review in a thesis. And then the next few chapters are looking at different methodologies that you could use for your study depending upon what the question is. What's the research question or the purpose statement, right? So actually in here they have methodologies for quantitative studies where what we're collecting is numbers, and they also have methodologies for qualitative studies. So if you want to do more about how people feel about something or what they're thinking or that kind of study, all right? So they've got a whole list. So measurement, surveys, observational studies, case studies, interviews and focus groups, narrative research methods, action research, visual methods, grounded theory, right? So there's lots of information here about how to set up your methodology depending on what it is you want to look at. And in the old days, I used to go through these chapters in quite, well, not a lot of detail, quite quickly. But I don't think anymore that that's so relevant, especially for the people that are going to go to the capstone class. And if you're going to do a thesis, then you can sit down, as I said, you can sit down with your chair and decide which of these methodologies is most appropriate for the kind of data you're looking to collect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's there, you've got it, don't sell your book back, keep them, please, keep them. And then you've got that information to hand if you ever need it, all right?
Okay.
Don't forget to use your APA. Just downloading the purpose statements, I saw lots of papers that were not double-spaced. APA requires double spacing, right?
Yeah.
It's like one of the first rules in the book, double space. So make sure when you, again in the template, you probably don't have room to double space.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to count that as an APA error within the template for ANOBIB 1. But when we transfer it into a paragraph, it will be an APA error, right? And then I know there was a question the other week that I couldn't answer. And when I remembered that I had to look up a question, I couldn't remember what the question was.
We're just like you can't be. Yeah.
It was when I did the quantitative approach, and there was one of the, what was it? Because I brought the more sophisticated research book with me so that I could answer it, because I was hoping one of you guys would remember what it was.
The last time we met?
Yes. Not last week.
No, the week
Well,
before.
yeah, the week before. That's so embarrassing. Why didn't I write it down? What's the point of having a notebook wall when you don't write the question down? Okay, well, if anyone thinks of it, drop me an email or put it in the discussion board and I can answer it there so everybody can have that answer. Otherwise, I'll have to go back and watch the video and find out what it was I couldn't. I couldn't remember. Okay. So I think really that's all I had. It's very short.
That's okay.
Unless you have really, I mean, if you've got specific questions that I could answer now.
Oh, no, I kind of just wanted you to see if, I mean, you're going to grade it, but you can see my purpose statement to see if those are good. But I know you want me to wait till tomorrow to really grade it.
What was your one?
Mine was, the purpose of the study is to identify whether height is a key factor to be a successful planner in the National Football League.
Off the top of my head, without looking at it more closely, I would say it's technically okay. It's probably a little weak in that it's likely to be more of a descriptive type study than an actual data collection. You know what I mean? Like you're going to look at the NFL punters and then find their data and find how high and
Well,
or you're going to correlate.
I was going to correlate the top punters, their height, the average, and their net punt,
Okay.
compared to like, because there's kind of like a stigma in the NFL. If you're not over 6'2", then you're most likely not going to be in the NFL.
Right.
So compare that to kind of, you know, the college punters who are shorter, but have kind of the same caliber, you know.
Right.
Kind of compare those, like the guys that don't make it because they're shorter.
Okay. Let me think about it when I look at it tomorrow.
Okay.
Do the punters, is that like the penalty? Is the punter the person
The
who takes
fourth-
the penalty? Or is the
He's
punter?
he's the one, the fourth down, the one who, they go out there, he's the one who flips, like, changes the field.
Kicks the ball.
He kicks the
to
ball
team.
for football.
So once the offense doesn't convert, we get the extra down on fourth down, they'll send out the punter to kick the ball to change possession.
Okay. I kind of follow what you're saying.
They kick the ball and, you know, it's just.
But they're not someone that's going to get hit or tackled?
They do,
or
but
they do?
it's,
That play they do.
yeah, but it's kind of like, you have to scheme it so they don't,
Right.
you know?
So theoretically, they should never be touched.
Yeah,
Based on
theoretically.
your scheme, but things happen, of course.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me think about it.
Okay.
And you went with your relative
Yeah,
age thing,
Yeah,
which I forgot to ask Brian about, and he left for a conference at lunchtime, so I'll have to, when he's home over the weekend, I'll ask his. 'cause I think he-
professional opinion.
Yeah, I think he might be quite interested. He likes to do statistics on sport, you know, statistical models and things.
Uh-huh.
He's done a couple of papers on racquetball and volleyball and,
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, that show, that sports science show, it's
he
like,
likes that stuff.
Yeah.
He's a math geek, so he likes to play with numbers.
oh,
Okay, anything else?
I think that's it. I looked back at my notes, I couldn't find any questions that were, I don't know, I'm not sure if it was regarding like the independent and dependent variables.
I don't think it was. Yeah, I bet if I look at the PowerPoint notes, I'll see the words, and I'll remember
Yeah, 'cause
what it was. I
usually-
couldn't. It was something I couldn't describe because I hadn't done it for a while, and I needed to go and look it up to describe it properly. So I don't remember what.
Was it about sampling?
I don't know. I don't remember.
That's something. Was it about random assignment?
Wasn't random because that stuff I know pretty well.
We did talk about design. Was it about pilot study? But I don't have any like glaring questions.
No. Never mind. I'll remember to look it up tomorrow and I'll put it on Blackboard.
Blackboard?
Yeah.